Hey everybody, Foley here for the weekly news recap to the 9th, 15th of October, 2023. So, what's happening this week, or last week, or whatever way you want to look at it? Sony have unveiled the PS5 Slim. Looks like this, I guess. No change to the controller, controller's all the same. It now has a speed line, I guess. It's also considerably smaller. I don't think there's a comparison shot in this press release thing. It's quite a bit smaller, shorter. The width is still much the same, but it's a good bit shorter. It's also randomly $50 more expensive for some reason. Sony decided to do it. Sony had put up the price of the PS5 in most territories already, but it had neglected to do that in the US, and I guess they were holding off to do it here when they were going to unveil the PS5 Slim. This is showing that the disc tray is swappable, so if you buy the PS5 Slim and later on decide you want to get the disc version, you can just install it. No real issue. If you wanted to do that with the original PS5, you would actually have to you'd have to still buy the disc tray, but it would be a like USB connection thing. You'd have to plug it into one of the USB slots on the PS5. Complete standalone option. Yeah, prices, for some reason it's gone up $50. The digital version, as opposed to the disc version. The disc version still seems to be much the same. This is kind of bullshit here. It's like randomly it's $50 between the US and European prices. The exchange rate is not that egregious between the euro and the dollar, so that's kind of bullshit. Anyway, right, what the fuck is this thing? This is the vertical stand. If you want to stand the PS5 up, now note that in every single, glamour shot they have of the PS5 Slim, it is standing upright. Right? This is how they're advertising the thing. You need to buy this separately. It is a separate purchase for the vertical stand. It was not a separate purchase for the original PS5. It came with a stand, and the stand was compatible with either vertical or horizontal. It worked either way. For whatever reason, it's different. The PS5 Slim, if you want to stand it upright, you will need to buy a separate stand, and it costs $30. Oh yeah. We want to do equivalent numbers on this one, but when it comes to bigger numbers, you want to go with a ridiculous exchange rate. Okay, yeah, all right, I see what you're doing. For fuck's sake. Anyway, also comes in a little different colorways and stuff. There, they've pointed out there. What's kind of funny here is that if you do, you're going to have to make it horizontal unless you buy the vertical stand. Hey Melvin, how you getting on? But if you do want to make it horizontal, you get this tiny fucking paper clip to make sure your PS5 doesn't wobble, I guess. What are they doing, Sony? Honestly, how much did that cost? What is this? What is this tiny leg thing? Can you even see on the fucking stream? It's so small. It's shrinkage. It's cold. This doesn't usually happen to me. Alright, anyway, here's the specs. 358 millimeters. Only when it's cold. I'm looking at my own PS5 and trying to gauge the difference. It's about like 20% shorter, what it looks like. Anyway, everything else is much the same. Disk drive, terabyte. That's, I think, pretty sure that's what the standard one, or the standard one, the original, the fat PS5, I guess, comes with. That's all the same. That's all the same. Yeah, I have two USB Type-Cs on the front. Okay, that's different. There's only one Type-C on the original PS5, and there's a Type A on the front as well. Oh no, output front of console, back of console. Okay, so the Type A is gone from the front of the console. That's what's happened. Just two Type-Cs on the front. That's really hard to tell, but yes. Okay, so that's different. That's kind of it. There's an additional USB port, it looks like, or they've just moved it from the back to the front. Seems to be all that's changed. Otherwise, it's the exact same price, nothing really particularly new. If you can get your hands on the original PS5, its RRP, at least, is less than the PS5 Slim. Is an additional USB Type-C slot worth $50 to you, I guess, is the question you want to add. Plus, you're going to have to, add in that you will have to buy the vertical stand separately if you want to stand it up vertically. Up to you. It's quite big. Even though it's the PS5 Slim, it's still pretty big. So laying it down horizontal is not really an option for everybody. It's a lot of space to give up. Vertical is kind of where it's at. Meh to the Slim, there's not much going on there. Like, if it was saying like it doesn't, run as hot or something like that. The original PS5 has a gigantic fan on it. Like, it doesn't really get that hot. It gets a bit loud every now and then, but otherwise it's fine. Anyway, moving on. Right, why are you here? I have a fucking plugin that's meant to stop seeing these things. It doesn't seem to work for this website. I don't know why. Anyway, Lollipop Chainsaw Repop set to switch from remake to remaster. So this was news from Dragami Games, made up from people formerly from Grasshopper Manufacture and Katakawa Games, who were responsible for the original Lollipop Chainsaw. They originally said they were going to be making a remake of the game, and a lot of that had to do with the fact that they could not get their hands on the licensed music for the original game. The original game did use a lot of 80s, maybe late 70s, early 90s as well, music. It was kind of integral to the game. A lot of it was sort of kind of mixed into what you were doing in the game at the same time. But they weren't able to get the licensing rights, so they decided that they would just do a remake, basically, and use modern music, sort of fit the gameplay around that instead. Understandably, people were like, the fuck? No, don't do that. Absolutely not. We'd rather you didn't even make the game if that's what's going to happen. But apparently, decision based on fan feedback, we are instead going to do a remake. How are they going to do that? I don't know, or a remaster, rather. Of course, the idea... This is what Yasuda, the producer, said at the time when they announced it. Of course, the ideal thing to do would be to make a remastered version of the original game, changing nothing. However, we were unfortunately unable to include 16 of the licensed songs, which are a great part of the original game's feel, and so we are instead aiming for a remake that is as close as possible to a remaster. Now they're saying they're going to make a remaster. Now you might think there's some lost in translation stuff here on what is specifically the difference between a remake and a remaster. Don't really know where they're going with this, because that's all the information we have. It's just they're changing what they're calling it. They're not calling it a remake anymore. They're calling it a remaster. What does that mean? I don't know. The release date was put back. It was going to be out later this year, and it's been pushed out into the summer of 2024. So that's a significant delay. This could be why. Not sure. Probably. We're not sure. Lollipop Chainsaw is consistently the most viewed video game on my channel on YouTube. and I recorded that fucking years ago. But it is consistently, it's that, Enslaved Odyssey to the West, and Red Dead Redemption. They're the most viewed video games on my channel, at least, my YouTube channel. Lollipop Chainsaw, I imagine because it's so difficult to get your hands on now, that they'll have to watch it on YouTube if they want to see it played. The reason for that is, of course, licensing and so on. It was never made backwards compatible because of that music licensing thing, and Sony refuses to do PlayStation 3 backwards compatibility properly, so it's pretty much unplayable right now, unless you still have your original PS3 or original 360 and the disc. There's a significant barrier to getting to play it. So go to youtube.com/DoomTerm5 and you can just watch me play through it. That's what a lot of people seem to have done. The no commentary version, though, dicks. Watch the commentary version. Pricks. Okay, moving on. Ubisoft indefinitely delays its COD clone because of inconsistencies. Inconsistencies. What's that? We can't figure out a way to fucking bilk all your money out of you, probably. Ubisoft announced indefinitely delaying Call of Duty like clone Cross Defiant, X Defiant. I don't know how you're meant to pronounce it. Whatever. It's pre-season. For fuck's sake. Video games have pre-seasons now, apparently. Anyway. Been delayed because of failed console quality control checks, as well as a bunch of other shit they're gonna get into in the rest of the article. And that they did betas and it didn't feel great, and people were complaining about movement and stuff like that. Failed console quality control checks are things like, does the game run and not crash on the platform? You know, it's that kind of stuff. That's combined with, like, is it using the correct terminology? You know, is it calling the console the PlayStation 5, calling it the Xbox One, TM with with the symbols and everything. That kind of stuff. That's also goes into quality control. That's expensive because you have to pay for the certification, and you kind of only want to do that once because you have to pay for it every time. You know. Anyway, pushing it back indefinitely is a bit weird, though. Usually it's just, okay, fix that and then we'll just recertify again. And, this is coming out of your pay kind of thing. A week earlier, however, this was from X Defiant's test sessions. It surfaced some inconsistencies in the game's experience that we need to address prior to launching our preseason. So we've made the hard decision to delay the preseason, stop calling it that, of X Defiant. It's just the fucking beta, that's all. Right. Calling it a preseason. Anyway, Ubisoft have been consistently, for the last while at least, unable to launch a game. Skull and Bones has taken a billion years to come out. X Defiant has been now indefinitely delayed. Beyond Good and Evil 2 is in development hell for I don't know how long. It just seems like Assassin's Creed is the only thing they're able to put out. And it's also the only thing they're really putting any energy into. So it wouldn't surprise me if this game just disappears after that. Anyway, Epic Games Store games, free games this week. 2 of them. Actually technically 3 of them. First one this week is Blazing Sails, 3.7 out of 5 stars on the store. Fight for survival in Blazing Sails, a fast-paced pirate PvP game. Create your own unique pirate and ship, band together with other players to command your mighty vessel. Giggity. Explore different game modes, maps, weapons, ship types, and more while eliminating other crews in epic battles on land and sea. So they already did Skull and Bones. There it is. They made it already. You can stop, Ubisoft. No, you don't need to make it anymore. Okay. That sounds like Sea of Thieves, more or less. Sure, it just sounds like Sea of Thieves. Anyway, moving on. Cube 10th anniversary plus Cube 2. We don't have a nice video for this one, unfortunately. Anyway, Cube 10th anniversary is the ultimate celebration of the decade-old original, bringing defined visuals, completely redesigned and revised gameplay sections, and a whole new chapter to the award-winning, brain-twisting first-person puzzler. It features these things. And the deluxe edition features these things. A bunch of DLC and stuff. 100 puzzles to complete, 46 collectibles. Not 45, 46. And a new sector and so on. Cube is a bit of a weird Portal-like game, but its kind of gimmick being these kind of color-coded cubes that do different things. I very briefly played the original. I honestly don't remember it that well. But apparently it warranted a 10th anniversary. 10th anniversary is the ultimate celebration of the decade-old... No shit, 10th anniversary. Decade-old original. No, really. You can refine visuals completely. I was thinking, was there an award winning? Oh no, it's there. I knew. I read it. A whole new chapter to the award winning. It won awards apparently. Anyway, I don't remember the game. Moving on. Right, monthly game stuff. So Sony delayed. Ordinarily, this would have been at the same time that we looked at Game Pass, but for whatever reason, it took a whole week. We are old, very old. Just get in the grave while we're here. Okay, so what's coming to PlayStation Plus Extra and PlayStation Plus Premium for the month of November? No, October. We're still in October. We're old. We're not that old. Give me that month back. We're not quite that old yet. Okay, so some good games and some not so much. In that list, Gotham Knights only released earlier this year, and like a fool, I bought it. I did buy it when it was on sale though, so I didn't buy full price for it. I still haven't played it. Anyway, it's up to the Batman family, everybody except Batman, to protect Gotham, bring hope to its citizens. This was yada yada yada. It's a kind of sandboxy map porn thing, Ubisoft does, where it takes a bunch of activities and then just throws them all over the map and goes, okay, there you go, there's your game. House of Ashes is there, yep, it is. It's coming soon to Foley and Melwyn play, or Melwyn and Foley play, I don't know. You do alphabetical order? Way to go on that. Pride of Place, whoever wins, we get to put their name at the front. I don't think you could win House of Ashes. Anyway, Gotham Knights is a drop-in, drop-out co-op brawler type thing, so it's more or less just using the Arkham combat system. It's a little bit evolved, a little bit different. The 4 characters play somewhat differently and then somewhat very similarly. And then there's just a bunch of activities. Go here, beat up all the guys. Go here, do a stealth section. Go here, do a hacking and what have you. Now it's... age before... age before wisdom. Put it that way. I can't say the other one. All right, moving on. Disco Elysium, the final cut. Go play it. It's really good. Excellent game. Just I'm not gonna say anything about it. Just go play it. Amazing. Let's do it. And the final cut has full voice acting. The original did not. That was painful. I had to read the whole thing. This one has full voice acting for everything. So just do it. The Dark Pictures anthology, House of Ashes, that was the third Dark Pictures game. As Melwyn pointed out, myself and Melwyn have been playing through the Dark Pictures games, and we have been waiting for House of Ashes to come on some subscription service kind of thing, so we can both play it. I have played it on the channel already, so spoilers, Melwyn, don't watch that. And I liked it. I liked House of Ashes. I didn't really like the other two, Man of Medan and Little Hope. Was not really a fan of either of those. House of Ashes I did like though. So we'll give that a shot when we're both back, which could be a while. Could be December at some point. Hold on. Yes, don't watch. It's an interesting one. I won't read through the blurb because it does kind of give away some stuff. We'll talk about that. Alien Isolation, the game Elwyn refuses to go back and play. And the game I refuse to play outright because it's too scary. 15 years after the events of Alien, Ellen Ripley's daughter Amanda enters a desperate battle for survival on a mission to unravel the truth behind her mother's disappearance. It's bullshit. It's a mission to just not get killed by the alien for 10 minutes. That's what it is. And you go an extra 10 minutes not getting killed by the alien. Cool. You did it. Now do it again. Now do it again. Now do it again for like 6 hours. Don't get killed. It's Alien Isolation is just a real game. No, it's very scary. It's a cat and mouse survival horror thing where the cat is extremely smart. It just knows where you are all the time. It's frustrating after a while, to be honest. It's more of a kind of, oh, you killed me again. How about that? Kind of thing. Eventually it does get to that end of thing, but you got to get through a whole lot of scariness before you get there. Dead Island, the original. It's like, how old is this game now? 8 years old? Something like that? It's kind of ridiculous. Caught in the midst of an epic zombie outbreak on the tropical island of Banoi, survival is your only priority. Not really. Your priority is to smash zombie heads in a hilarious fashion. That's kind of your real priority. Survival's not really an issue. Zombies are very slow. Smash heads, crack skulls, slice them up with visceral, astounding melee. Astounding is a bit much. Asterisk, citation needed on astounding melee combat. A true story-based 4-player horseshit. There's no story in Dead Island. Co-op in a sprawling, as the fucking citation needed. Open world, just waiting for an exploration. Annex? No, I added that on in. Okay. Dead Island has a kind of weird marketing around it. It had this like really kind of somber and like poetic trailer thing that was parodied to shit afterwards, but it made it seem like this was going to be a really serious zombie game, and you're going to be tackling and dealing with like death and like the death of people you love around you and stuff like that. And I was like, no, you just run around smashing zombie heads with whatever you have to hand. It was weird. It was a weird marketing choice. Anyway, I'm sure I got a lot of people to buy the game, and then they're like, the fuck is this? Anyway, Outlast 2. The bad Outlast. I don't know, they're both bad. IMO. Anyway, Outlast 2. You're stranded in a, backwater, hillbilly, redneck place, I guess. I don't know, it's hard to tell. Possibly in the US, I'm not even sure. And then a bunch of whole weird religious Christianity shit happens, and you question why you're still playing the game. Anyway, move on. Elite Dangerous, massively multiplayer space epic, bringing gaming's original open world adventure to PS4. PS4. The connected galaxy evolving narrative and the entirety of the Milky Way recreated at its full galactic proportions. No, it isn't. It'd take you forever to get anywhere if that was true. It's starting with only a small starship and a few credits. That's a spreadsheet game. It's not quite as egregious as some of the other spreadsheet games, but it's a spreadsheet game. You're tracking a whole bunch of stats across like the entire game world, trying to figure out where can I go to sell iron. Is Saturn doing better rates on iron right now and that kind of shit? I don't know. Some people like it. It just feels like a second job. Far Changing Tides, we did play on the channel. Atmospheric vehicle adventure that follows the emotional journey of a boy in a ship as he embarks on a voyage to find a new home. Sail stormy waters, dive unknown depths. So it's got a little bit of Limbo inside. I keep going back to those two games because they're like a perfect antithesis. That's not the word. That's the word I want to say. I can't think of the word. Example. It's a better word than example, but I can't think of the word. Anyway, they're a perfect example of that genre of side-scrolly, puzzly, physics-based stuff. Far Changing Tides is kind of the same thing, but you're sort of two characters. You've got the boy who moves around and does flip switches and what have you, and then you've got the ship itself, which is kind of its own character. It's with you for the entire game, ish. At some points it's not. And you kind of get to connection with the ship because it goes through so many troubles with you. It gets caught on fire, it breaks down, it needs new parts and stuff like that. You need to keep it not fed, fuel, I guess. It's kind of the same. You feed your car, right? I really liked Far Changing Tides. It's really good, and the original game, Fire Lone Sails. They are technically sequels. Changing Tides is technically a sequel to Lone Sails, but you don't necessarily need to have played the first one to get the gist of it. Anyway, moving on. Gungrave Gore, don't play it. Moving on. Just don't. Just watch my video and realize why. Just watch the last 10 minutes. You'll figure it out. Eldest Souls. Right, I wonder what kind of game this is. In a final act of vengeance, the old gods have unleashed a great desolation upon the world. Wow, dick move. Ankite is fading. I think we were doing that anyway. With but a glimmer of hope remaining. Yeah, okay. Okay, modern day, got it. Fast-paced and challenging Souls-like combat awaits. For every moment counts, a doubt. Yeah. Anyway, it's a Souls-like game. Is it any good? Have you heard of it? Probably not. Roki. Rediscover magic and chart your... What do you mean rediscover magic? I never lost it. And chart your adventure through this forgotten northern world of mystery and monsters. Solve ancient puzzles, travel to... Okay, so... Puzzly thing? You join Tove on a fantastical journey to save her family, a journey that takes her deep into a hidden and long-forgotten world of lost folklore, filled with strange locations, strange creatures. Yeah, the puzzly thing. But Norse... Eldritch shit going on, I think. Alright, anyway. That's PlayStation Plus Extra. And if you have PlayStation Premium, like me, like a fucking idiot, they don't even call it PlayStation Plus Premium anymore. This is how little effort they give this section. The section you pay the most for. Let me check. Did they call this PlayStation Plus Extra? Yeah, they call that Extra. PlayStation Plus, or Plus rather. PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium, and then this is just PlayStation Premium, even though it should be PlayStation Plus Premium and Deluxe, but whatever. Tekken 6. I mean, that's good. It's a good game. To be fair, Tekken 6 is a decent game. Soul Calibur Broken Destiny is not. That's not a good game. And yet another Ape Escape. Yet another Ape Escape. Where's Symphony of the Night? Where's Legacy of Kain? Where's Soul Reaver? Where's Tomb Raider? Where's the original Metal Gear Solid? Where's Gran Turismo? Like any of these. OG Resident Evil. All of these fucking games. Actual classics. Not the Ape Escape Academy that nobody even knows was a game. And then IQ Final. I don't even know what that is. I don't even know what that is. Moving on. But yeah, just fucking put the good games on the goddamn classics catalog. Anyway. Those are some of the games you can play eventually. What if you wanted to play something right now? Well, you can play Lords of the Fallen. Not The Lords of the Fallen. That was a different game. Lords of the Fallen. The black screen for some reason. Okay, there we are. Lords of the Fallen is a Souls-like. It is a reboot, effectively, of the Lords of the Fallen series. You can more or less just ignore previous game. It doesn't really involve it at all. This is obviously not actual gameplay. Though it doesn't tell you. You should really have a little star there to say not actual gameplay, but what have you? It's not actual gameplay. The gimmick for this game is that you have two separate worlds that you can move in between. So that lamp thing that he has on his waist allows your character to move between the world of the living and the world of the dead, which is very Soul Reaver. Which is, kind of why I was even thinking of it. Well, I'm always thinking about Soul Reaver, to be fair. So within the different worlds, there's different architecture, different enemy types, and stuff like that. So you might come across an area in the living world where the bridge has collapsed and you can't proceed any further, whereas if you jump into the world of the dead, the bridge might still be there. Or there might be some horrible tentacle thing waiting to kill you. Who knows? One or the other. And you use that kind of vice versa. I can't proceed any further in the land of the dead. Okay, I need to go back to the land of the living. It is somewhat one way. If you jump from the land of the living to the dead, that's kind of, you just press a button or hold a button and you'll jump in. If you want to go the opposite way, you do need to find like a specific location to go back, which again, Soul Reaver. Soul Reaver was much the same. You could go into the spectral plane in Soul Reaver whenever you wanted. But if you wanted to go the other way around, you had to find specific locations to do it, which I assume is some kind of... it's probably to reduce like strain or load or memory processing issues. Although the fact that they could do it the opposite way, kind of strange. Anyway, whatever. It's not important. Also, if you die, as you might imagine, you go into the land of the dead. So that makes sense. So you have like a second life, which is a bit Sekiro. Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. You had something similar where if you died, you resurrected for one more go. Or if you got the upgrades, 2 more goes. Lords of the Fallen has something similar going on. So if you die, you go into the land of the dead, and if you die again, you're dead for real. You go back to your last checkpoint, start again. Reviews have been a bit mixed. Reviews are kind of, it's a Souls game, but also it doesn't do enough to separate itself, and the gimmick is a gimmick. On the other hand, some people are like, wow, 2 worlds, 2 entire maps to explore. That's great. So, your mileage may vary. Up to you. Figure it out. Moving on. Fortunately, it is now time to talk about the worst parts of video game industry. So, Microsoft finally, after close to 2 years, has finally closed its massive Activision Blizzard deal, making Activision Blizzard King a part of Microsoft for $69 nice billion. It's not actually 69, it's 68 point something, which is annoying. But whatever, everybody just rounds it up because 69 is funny. The video game industry just got a lot smaller, that is true. Gaming's big march towards corporate consolidation continues. As you might know, there's like a bunch of layoffs, studios are closing, and developers are being bought up. So the video game industry is getting smaller, and what that means is companies are going to be, there aren't as many companies putting out games. So what will happen here is when ordinarily you would have had Activision separate, they would have put out their own game, during holiday season, during spring or end of tax year or whatever it is, and then Microsoft would have their game, Sony would have their game, Ubisoft, EA, and so on, and they'd all compete. But the thing is now that Activision and Bethesda and so on are all part of Microsoft, Microsoft are not going to want to cannibalize their own sales, so they'll be putting out fewer games. It's kind of the way that'll end up going. Even though they have more IP, they'll be putting them out not as often. Anyway, great. Thanks. This also makes Microsoft pretty much de facto top of mobile gaming without having to do anything, because they bought King along with Activision Blizzard, which gives them Candy Crush and a bunch of other things. So they're already top of the charts, making all that money without having to do anything. Anyway, Microsoft has signed a 10-year deal to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation. I personally don't care because I don't play the game. But also, a 10-year business deal is nothing. You know, they might get a breach of contract fine, which will be less than the 69 that they spent to buy Activision, and it will be less than what they just make off Call of Duty. Like, it's nothing. It's not worth the paper. As well as all these different IPs that they now have under their belt, they put out a weird trailer just showing off all these things that have now become part of Microsoft. They've also now acquired 10,000 employees. So what are they going to do with most of them? How many of them will actually remain? Debatable. There's going to be a considerable amount of overlap, you know, just even outside of the video game stuff, just general management, you know, admin, HR, logistics, those kind of people. How many of them will actually hang about? How many of them will be laid off as part of that kind of redundancy? Or how many of them will just be like, I don't want to work for Microsoft, and we'll just leave. As well as how many from the executive level will just be kicked out. We'll see. Bobby, unfortunately, is sticking around till the end of 2023, and then he will depart with a absolutely ridiculous amount of money. Microsoft has agreed to union neutrality. Previously, Activision were very much against unionization. They did everything in their power to stop it from happening. Microsoft, for their part, are just, they're not going to promote it, but they're also not going to, you know, fight it. It's like, if it comes up, fine. However, Microsoft have also no unions currently under either Xbox or even the larger Microsoft company. Don't have any unions. So acquiring Activision means that it'll be the first time they'll actually have to deal with unionized QA, for one. And how they will handle that, will they just shut that studio down and be like, nope, we don't want to deal with a union? Maybe. Anyway, this article does kind of highlight how they got to this position in the first place, because it's been a while. It's been almost 2 years, as was pointed out. How did we get into this position in the first place? So it's important to remember why Microsoft were even able to buy Activision in the first place. And it's because Activision's stock price tanked a while ago when they had to delay a bunch of games. They had to delay Diablo for a good while. They had to delay a Call of Duty and so on. But also on top of that, they were, you know, in the news for other things like sexual harassment, toxic workplace, possibly having somebody kill themselves because of what happened at the company. It then became known that Bobby Kotick was potentially aware of all of this stuff. Widespread sexual harassment, discrimination within Activision Blizzard. Bobby was allegedly aware of multiple past sexual misconduct lawsuits against the company, but failed to report them to its board of directors, which is breach of fiduciary responsibility, and honestly, he should have lost his job. Lost his position at that point, but hey, Microsoft came calling and said $69 billion for the company. So the board of directors probably went, ooh, money. Bobby, you can stay on for a little bit longer until we get all that money, and then you're gone. So Microsoft came back with a deal that was going to be $95 per share, which is a 45% premium over what the company was actually worth at the time. That's an offer you can't refuse. Really? Make him an offer you can't refuse. Yeah, that's the board of directors going, our shares are now worth close to way more than they're actually worth right now. So, okay, Bobby, you stay on, get this done, and then fuck off. Fuck off with $400 million just from his stock. which is more that, which, as the article points out, is 20 times the settlement ABK had to pay to the Equal Employment and Opportunities Commission over the discrimination allegations. That's just what Bobby's getting. Never mind what the rest of the board are getting. Never mind what the rest of the upper level management are getting. Do you think the regular developers are getting anything? No. They're getting fired. They're getting anything. Laid off. Don't need you anymore. Goodbye. You only bought ABK for the K bit. They don't actually care about the rest of it. $400 million just from the sale via his stock holdings, and then he'll have his, retirement package. Because he's not being fired. He's voluntarily retiring. So he'll get whatever that is, which is also probably several million. Won't have to go to court over this sexual assault stuff. I'm glad he's gone, but at the same time, he's not going to get any comeuppance whatsoever. Hopefully Microsoft will have him sign like a non-compete thing for like 200 years and we'll never see him again. That'd be great. The last part of this article is really interesting though, because it does highlight something that's probably going to be a big issue for Xbox. So when Xbox bought ZeniMax 2020, fuck, really that long ago? That doubled the size of Xbox Game Studios. And now when they've bought Activision Blizzard, they are now 5 times bigger. That's a massive amount of weight to just suddenly gain on your company. So many people. Do you have even close to the, just communication with everybody is going to be a huge hurdle for them to have to just get a handle on. That's a lot of people that they're now suddenly responsible for. We'll see how that works out. We'll see how many of those IP are resurrected, as Phil claimed that's what was going to happen. Yeah, you're going to see a new Tenchu, doubt. You're going to see a new Crash Bandicoot, doubt. So on. What I really want to see is that the studios that used to be making their own games and then became support studios for Call of Duty, basically, to be allowed to make their own games again and not be stuck in the Call of Duty mines. That's what I want to see. Well, will it happen? I doubt it. Anyway, speaking of somebody getting their comeuppance, John Riccitiello retires, unfortunately, not fired, retires as Unity CEO after 9 years because you fucked up. Unity has announced that John Riccitiello will retire as CEO and president. Both. Hang on. Hold on. Why was he allowed to be both? Not only was he CEO and president, but he was also chairman of the board. What the fuck? You're not supposed to have all 3 of those positions. That's like ultimate power of the company. What are you guys doing? Anyway, he's retiring with probably a lot of money. We won't really know how much until it happens, I assume. Anyway, as you might imagine, the reason for this is because of the last thing that Unity tried to do, which was you need to pay us every time somebody installs your game. Yeah, that's why. The big backlash that came from that is why he's going, yeah, fuck off. Take your retirement package and go away. Why they can't fire him for doing that, I guess, is because he's CEO, president, and chairman of the board is probably why they can't fire him. Because he's has all the power in the company. He was also responsible for the merger with Iron Source. Iron Source is allegedly is a major source of malware, stuff like that. It was not a good look for them to merge with Iron Source, and everything from then on, really, has been pretty bad from Unity's standpoint. Not a lot of Unity's ideas during his time overseeing the company have gone over smoothly. None of them have gone over smoothly, honestly. Shortly after it announced its new generative AI tools, Riccitiello doubled down and supported the technology. They would be trained on internal art or licensed from third parties. That's not okay. Came a week after the firm dropped one of its AI partners after it was revealed that it was selling assets built by human developers. It wasn't even doing AI. It was just straight up stealing art. Not even in the generative AI way that they steal art. No, just straight up, I'm taking your art and selling it to somebody else. Then they had the runtime fee shit. In a lot of ways, Unity has become to be seen as an ad tech company rather than an actual game development platform in these last few years. What the fuck is that? Go away. This is why I don't use Ars Technica. Game devs express joy over long overdue retirement of Unity CEO. Game developers and financial markets have responded overwhelmingly positive to his retirement. Good shit. Long, long overdue. I truly did not think his departure would ever happen. The main thing Unity needed to do to start rebuilding trust, so it's at least a start. It's a step in the right direction. This is the first, most critical step for Unity in rebuilding the trust he and others set fire to. But is it going to be enough? It's the studio behind Slay the Spire. Megacrit Studios said, cool. Anyway, our next game is going to be on Godot. Godot is a different video game engine thing. Imagine thinking that this changes the strategy of Unity, who are basically an ad tech company. Not everybody's on board. Hope everyone in the C-suite and on the board who are advocating for install fees have the wherewithal and grace to step down. There's no path forward without removing everyone who had anything to do with it. Ricketel sucks ass, but it's also worth noting that Unity went public and now has a board of stakeholders who also seem to suck ass. Indeed. When his retirement was announced, stock price jumped 7% in less than a day. However, it is still down significantly since the install fee thing was announced. This has seen anybody who did buy into the IPO when Unity went public. Their investment has now lost 43% of its value. Just during the last 3 years. That's a good legacy you got there, John. Good legacy. Good fucking riddance. Right. Paradox to write down Lamplighters League costs confirms layoffs at Harebrained Schemes. Oh, you thought the layoffs were done? Oh boy, no they weren't. Okay, so this is Paradox saying that now that the game is out, they're just writing it down. Just writing it off completely. Maybe if you did like a tiny amount of marketing at all whatsoever, maybe this could have been avoided. Like I had not heard of this game until I saw it on the release thing for the week. Like that was the first time I had heard of the game. If you're not familiar, it is it's written here somewhere. Or it's not. Yeah, it must have been written in a different article I was reading. It's a turn-based strategy, real-time stealth, 1920s adventure game. So already, that's extremely niche. You know, you've got turn-based strategy, very niche game genre. Real-time stealth. Much as I love stealth games, they typically don't do well, commercially. And then 1920s adventure-y thing isn't really in right now. / ever. Yeah, I'm not particularly fond of that particular era. But I don't think it's like exactly in vogue right now. So you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot a bunch of times there. Anyway, even though we see cautiously positive player numbers in subscription service, and you sold it into a subscription service. So already, you know, there's so many things here holding this game back. No wonder it didn't like remake its money. Also, you sold it into a subscription service for less than it cost you to make the game. What are you doing? You know, the bare minimum selling it into subscription service should be whatever it cost you to make the game. You just get your money back, and then whatever you actually manage to make on sales of the game is just profit. Like, why would you make a deal where it's less money? I don't get it. Anyway, the commercial reception has been weak, which is frankly a big disappointment. It really shouldn't be a disappointment. So many things you put in the way of this game. Anyway, additionally, layoffs happened at Lamplighters League developer over the summer. Over the summer, you might note, as before the game came out, they laid off a bunch of people. In the period when polish happens, like the last 3 months of the game is when like most of the quality goes into it. That's when you decided to lay off 80% or so of the studio. Like, come on. This isn't like commercial disappointment here. You just wanted to kill the studio. That's what this is. Anyway, confirmed layoffs at Harebrained. It's not like there's anybody left. Moving on. on. All right. Report details internal problems during the Lord of the Rings Gollum development. Yeah, no shit. no shit. There were problems during that thing. Okay. Leading crunch, lack of expertise, and an AI written apology. Oh, juicy. Okay. This report details a number of struggles faced by developer Daedalic Entertainment. A statement attributed to Daedalic Entertainment was their heavily criticized lack of polish, so on. There was an apology thing from them, apologizing for the game's quality. It's later turned out it was done through ChatGPT. So this is from a German outlet called Game 2. Well, I imagine it's in German. Game 2? It's actually called Game 2. That's a YouTube video. After interviewing 32 former and current employees at Daedalic, there's a bunch of different statements, and they collected a lot of that from. But a lot of it is now prepare to be shocked because you've definitely never heard this ever before. Exacerbated by funding issues, overambition, and unpleasant treatment from leaders. Okay, sorry, I thought it was going to be new. No, it's the same. It's the same shit again. Always, it's always the same thing. Most of Daedalic staff had expertise in point-and-click adventure games. That's what they're best known for. Anytime I've heard Daedalic, it's old, not great point-and-click adventure games, to be honest, as opposed to 3D action with AAA ambitions. Yeah, you just threw them in the deep end and then didn't give them any money, and then also was unable to hire talent with any experience because, of course, they looked at that and went, "Don't you guys make 2D point-and-click games?" Yeah, I'm not going on this project. Gollum had a development budget of $15 million. 50 million euro, rather. That's zero. That might as effectively just be, we'll pay your salary and that's about it. We're not going to pay for any additional tools or marketing or anything like that. Actually, no, a sizable amount of that would have been marketing because we saw all the trailers for Gollum and the video ads and different marketing around different websites and stuff like that. So a decent chunk of that budget would have gone to marketing. Lamplighters League, the previous article where they were writing it down because they didn't make the money back, that game's budget was 25 million. Just to give you an idea. And Gollum was meant to be a AAA game, whereas Lamplighters League was not. Single A, at most double A maybe. Daedalic said it was unable to secure more funding despite making multiple applications. I don't know what they expected. Staff were reportedly expected to crunch. No shit. Something employees said has been a part of the company's culture since its early days. Well, there's your problem. Without pay for the extra hours put in, guys, at this point you should just leave. Or union. Should not be working for no pay. Just in general. Not even just on video games, just in general. Don't be working for no pay. Pressure was also placed on junior staff and interns because they knew they could get away with it. Used as cheap labor and couldn't assess the level of stress as critical or unusual. Basically, they were naive and didn't realize that they were being exploited. And they didn't have people around them to tell them that's what was happening. They're feeling burnout, stress, anxiety, what have you. And they're thinking, because this is possibly their first job, they're thinking that this is just what it's like working on video games. Everyone else is doing the same thing in my company. I guess this is just what it's like, and I just gotta deal with the stress and depression and anxiety that comes with it. Yes, that's it. It's no, it's not. This should not be happening. But again, they don't have the experience, and it sounds like they didn't have the people to tell them that either. Particular criticism was leveled at founder and CEO. I'm shocked. CEO Carsten, the name I can't pronounce, and COO Stefan Harms, by employees who alleged they caused an atmosphere of pressure and stress. Employees reported instances of the CEO shouting at employees and recalled co-workers only spoke in whispers as they feared they would be overheard. That's a good company culture you got there. That's a good company culture. Of course, they denied these allegations, claiming that it was a friendly working atmosphere where you speak in whispers to not be overheard. Where you have people crunch and don't pay them. Very friendly. Sounds like a family working atmosphere, honestly. Anyway, marketing for Gollum billed the game as a blockbuster AAA entry. Internally, staff were working on damage limitation to prepare for the game's release because they're like, you are marketing this to be a game. It is not. It is absolutely not that game you were trying to claim that it is. And the scope of the game had ballooned. There it is. Put it on your bingo card. Scope creep. It always gets in. It always gets in there somewhere. There wasn't enough manpower or time to properly implement many of the systems. I'm shocked. The time factor also played a role, as the license for the Lord of the Rings games was time limited, and you're working on a license thing, so you are under like a 2 year at best. Your family, the most hated phrase in the working world, exactly. If they ever tell you we're like a family here, fucking leave. They're a dysfunctional, abusive family, is what they are. Anyway, then there was the letter that apologized. You may recall there were parodies of it in a lot of different places. This thing. Anyway, apparently it was written using ChatGPT. Good shit. Without telling Daedalic, the actual developers who this is attributed to. You might see down at the bottom it says Daedalic Entertainment. This is attributed to them, but it was written by Nacon. Written by the owner, the publisher Nacon, using ChatGPT. Not written. But it was attributed to the developers. They had no visibility of this thing before it went out. They saw it at the same time everybody else did. Allegedly, is what they're saying, in the report at least. Employees described a feeling of being left hanging in the air by management once Gollum was released. Yeah. Imagine they're taking their money and they're getting the hell out of there. They're going to leave everybody there holding the bag because they don't have the financial security to just... Mostly because you've been working for no pay. Like... It's really bad that they don't pay you, but at the same time, you should have left. Nah, actually, I don't want to do victim blaming things, but like, without pay for extra hours, like, come on. You might do that every once in a while, but if it's crunch, like, it's something you're doing, part of the company's culture. I don't know. I don't know their situation. I can't say, like, should you have left? As I said, financial security, it's possible they just... We're not in a position to do that. Either way, big shock. There were problems making Gollum and Daedalic. Not from what it sounds. From previous articles, we know that Daedalic Entertainment are basically not a developer anymore. They're just a publisher now. Anyway, moving on. So this is more of a catch-all thing for all of the layoffs that have happened. Over 6,000 games industry jobs lost in 2023 so far. We're not done yet. This was just up to September. They haven't even taken in October's numbers yet. September was the worst month for layoffs, new data shows. So this is kind of going through, just sort of collecting a lot of different ones. But what I wanted to get to was this bit. This list. Layoffs this year have included, and then there's a huge list. Now some of these aren't necessarily video game developers. Twitch, for instance, does not make games, but it is somewhat associated with the video game industry. Anyway, when do you think it stops? Okay, how many scrolls do you think it will take me to get to the bottom? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Why did I think that was more? That's because I have a free scroll on, that's why. Anyway, this list is enormous, is my point. It just keeps going. It just keeps going. Just keeps going. Just keeps going. That's a lot of developers gone. Layoffs. Specifically, it's not like company's still there, kinda. Telltale Games is effectively gone because they lost so many people. Keyword Studio was only recently because of BioWare. Naughty Dog because they shut down the Last of Us multiplayer game. Team 17 has had issues the whole year, and these are just coming back to bite it in the ass. Creative Assembly was because of Hyenas being shut down. Epic Games is because they spent a bunch of money acquiring a bunch of companies that they're now selling, and for whatever reason, the people responsible for those acquisitions are keeping their job and everyone else is losing their job. Mediatonic is related to Epic Games. It's the Fall Guys company. Maze Theory and Other Ocean, I don't know. Not sure. Blizzard is letting off its e-gaming team, effectively. Roblox, I think it's just their marketing team. I say just. It's not good for anybody to lose their job, but not the developers. Crystal Dynamics is part of the Embracer group, and Embracer are, just cutting jobs. I mean, half of this list is just Embracer group because they spent $2 billion that they didn't have. And the people who spent all that money are keeping their job, but not the developers. Anyway, I'm not going to go through the whole list because, as I said, it's a big list. It's very, very big. Anyway, the article is there. If you're watching this live, just Games Industry Up is, just look for this headline. If you're watching this on YouTube, it's in the description. Anyway, that was the industry. What's the industry up to? What is the community up to right now? Well, it's a fan-made Tomb Raider 2 side-scroller game is what the community is up to right now. So, Tomb Raider 2 as a side-scrolling game. It's pretty inspired. So this was like their earlier attempts at making it. They just did like the mansion, and I think the first level. Then it was okay. Now we've moved on. Game's gotten a little bit better. We're just gonna skip. But anyway, they've made it into like a side-scrolling limbo-y type game. It's pretty great. Obviously, the map has had to change significantly because you can't move on the Z-axis anymore. That's pretty good. And now they've got some new levels. They've Venice. They've even got some camera work as well for showing you when doors are open and stuff like that. So, you know, they're doing some good shit there. I don't know what that was supposed to be. I guess got climbing up the ladder. Okay, weird. Anyway, good work. They've got certainly, if they decide to ever make their own game, they've got a lot of good experience there, just trying to port effectively a game that is normally a 3D game into 2D. Anyway, that works out well. And then also, people have been making fun of the PS5 Slim's tiny penis. Oh, why? Why is this website like this now? I don't understand. Anyway, been getting the treatment. Some people likening it to Radahn's horse in Elden Ring, which is similarly very, very small. Explanations for how Radahn can sit on that tiny horse, you would have to play the game to know. Okay, actually you wouldn't. He has gravity powers. He's technically not sitting on the horse. He's hovering on top of it. Anyway, again, the PS5's tiny stand. And this is going back to like an Eddie Murphy film where he's with a large lady and he is a not large man and jumps on him and crushes the bed. Anyway, it's a fat joke. Not great. I'm not going to play it. Very funny. But obviously the stand itself is just, what are you doing? You're like a multi-billion-dollar company and this is what you're putting out. Anyway, Lords of the Fallen is the only game playing. Or the only new release that I have any actual interest in, so we'll leave that to play. So, that was your news for the 9th to the 15th of October 2023. PS5 Slim is not a massive improvement over the original PS5. It's a little bit smaller, as the name might suggest, and it has an extra port. Sorry, it doesn't have an extra port, it has an extra... No. Try that again. One of its USB Type-A ports is now a Type-C port. That's the difference. That's all. And it doesn't have a vertical stand, you have to pay for that separately. And its horizontal stand is hilarious. It's a fucking paperclip. Anyway. What else is happening? Lollipop Chainsaw is now a remaster rather than a remake. Don't know what that means. I have a feeling that's a translation issue. Japanese developer, who knows what they actually meant. Or what the difference is between a remaster and a remake. Like, a remaster would effectively keep all the music. That's a lot of money for licensing. See if maybe somebody's picked up the bill for it. As you can see, Lords of the Fallen is a new release this week. A couple of other games did come out, but they're not new. Honkai Star Rail is now on PlayStation, which is like Genshin Impact type, but in the future and space. Little Gator game that I played recently on the channel is also on PlayStation and Xbox now. Scorn, I think, is now on PlayStation and a bunch of other stuff. Yeah, it's a bunch of ports have basically appeared on different platforms this week, but they're not new. So I don't have them in the new releases. PlayStation Plus, Refresh, some good stuff there. Disco Elysium, Final Cut, go play it. Very, very good game. House of Ashes, myself and Melwin will get around to that at some point. After we're both back from our holidays. Industry bullshit. Microsoft have completed their Activision purchase. So Call of Duty is now de facto owned by Microsoft. As well as a bunch of other IPs. So they also own Diablo, they own World of Warcraft, Overwatch. Some lesser known ones, Tenchu, Sekiro, Wolfenstein, Singularity, Tony Hawk's, maybe. possibly own Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. I think. Sure. Anyway, Crash Bandicoot, which is kind of Crash Bandicoot is such a weird one because it was like the PlayStation mascot for a very long time. PS1, PS2. Crash Bandicoot was PlayStation's mascot, and now it's owned by Microsoft. It's so weird. Feels gross. Anyway, that's just the PlayStation fanboy in me. Gotta kill that fanboy. Anyway, other industry news. John Ricketel is fucking off. Good. Hopefully he never enters the game industry ever again. Also, 6,000 jobs lost just this year so far. This is not good. And we're going to see more now that the Microsoft Activision merger has happened. Like, a lot of times you just say Activision or Blizzard or whatever, but that's a lot of developers underneath Activision's umbrella, if you like. Not all of them are going to stay open. I think we're going to see shuttering of quite a few of them, honestly. They'll keep the IP, but they'll sell off to the dev. You know, they'll keep Crash Bandicoot, but sell off like Terrible Toy Box or Beam Dog or any of those Beanox. Not looking forward to that. It's also going to be right before Christmas too. Good job. Actually, they might hold off to keep the PR, but yeah, we're going to lose a lot of those developers. And that Tomb Raider 2 side-scrolling thing was pretty interesting. Forward to see if they make their own game at some point, because it looks like they have the chops for it. Anyway, that is what's happening in the industry. What is happening on the channel next week? So, this is a roadmap for the rest of the year. Green means it's been featured, yellow means it's currently being featured, and gray means it's on its way. So you can see Final Fantasy 16 complete. We completed Final Fantasy 16 this week, yesterday, in fact. Sad. I'm sad it's over because I really liked it. I really liked the game. Pacing issues aside, and it missing some Final Fantasy-ness to it. You know, it's missing party member system. It's missing a bit of the kind of childish wonder that a lot of Final Fantasy does have as well. It was like a little too serious for its own good in some cases. But overall, I really like the gameplay and the characters. Yeah, I'm just sad it's over, honestly. However, we will be back to play it at some point because it will be part of the Final Fantasy series playthrough whenever we get back to it. Final Fantasy 16. It's gonna be a while because we're still in the single digits. We're still at Final Fantasy 2. It's gonna take a minute. It's gonna take a minute to get to 16. And when we do, there is Final Fantasy mode, which is hard mode, effectively. Enemies all have new skills, new abilities, stuff like that. So, you know, basically it just makes the game harder. Which you could do with, to be honest, because it's not easy exactly, but simple. Simple is how I would put it, compared to something like Devil May Cry. In 2 years, 2 years is generous, Melvin. This is like 5 years. It's gonna be fucking ages before I get back to it. However, the developer has mentioned that they have decided to make DLC. So this wasn't a case where they were also working on DLC at the same time. This is that they are now currently working on DLC. Probably after Final Fantasy VII Rebirth comes out, they might get some time to work on DLC while they figure out what Final Fantasy VII Remake 3 is. Anyway, moving on. Next week. So next week is going to be pretty short because I am on holidays technically from Saturday, but I won't be around to stream on Friday, so fuck it. So Tuesday and Thursday, Final Fantasy 2, and Wednesday, Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. I'm debating whether or not I will play Nemesis today. I don't know yet. I'm feeling kind of lazy. Probably not, but we'll see. And then Friday, as I said, my holidays start on Saturday. Friday will be spent packing packing and making sure I've got everything sorted. So if that's all done in time and I have time, I might stream, but probably not. I'll probably just go to bed because it's an early flight. And then Saturday I'm flying out, which means Sunday there will be no weekly news recap. And there'll be no weekly news recap for the next 3 weeks ish. There'll be no streams in general, but specifically there'll be no weekly news recaps as well. Because that Sunday I am possibly still flying. I might possibly still be in the air with the way time zones work. The week after that, I'm still on holidays, and the week after that, I think I'll still be in the airport when weekly news recap still starts. So yeah, it'll be the monthly news recap, I guess, Melvin, when I come back, because we'll have like 4 weeks of news I have to recap. That'll be a long stream. Anyway, Thursday is also somewhat debatable because I have to go into the office on Thursday for a work event. So depending on when that finishes, I may or may not stream. We'll see. Anyway, that is the plan for next week. Pretty short streaming week. And then no streams for a good while till I'm back. I'll be back first-ish week of November? Second week of November? Second week of November. Ooh, to work events, exactly. It's also a 2-day work event. It's technically on Friday as well, but I'll be doing that one virtual because I need to be home to pack and go to bed at a reasonable time to be at least somewhat conscious to do check-in and passport and all that shit. Right. Anyway, that's it from me. For the news and your channel update, I may potentially be back later with Nemesis. Don't hold me to it. Don't expect it either. If it does, it will be a shock to both you and me if it actually happens. Melwin, I believe, is playing Citizen Sleeper later today around 8 o'clock. So check them out, twitch.tv/Melwin26. Otherwise, if you want to catch up, I don't know why you would, but if you want to catch up on other news from last week or like 2 years ago or something, you can find all of those over on youtube.com/DoomTrain5, as well as all my other Let's Plays. They're all over there, VODs and so on, like Lollipop Chainsaw, which is popular for some reason, but only the no commentary version. Dicks. Play the no commentary or watch the watch the commentary version. Anyway, I'm gonna head off. Have a good rest of your day. If I don't see you until Tuesday, see you when I see you. Bye bye.